Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Department of Medicine Grand Rounds. And it's not Grand Rounds today, it's Awards Day, one of my favorite days of the year. Dr. Simons once said that universities are not loyal, that universities don't love you back. And his point was that universities and institutions are brick and mortar, walls, infrastructure. It's the people inside the universities and the institutions that are loyal, that display the values, what an organization is all about. These are the people who create traditions. And it is through those values, characteristics, and traditions that we become to know what an organization and a university is about. This is one of those traditions, Awards Day. It is not about the award. Yes, it is. No, it's not about the award. It's really about coming together as a family, as an organization, to show that we're not just about brick and mortar, that we're about people. It's about caring about the people, about our patients, about our trainees, about our staff, about our faculty. And so thank you for being here to continue this great tradition. Now, this gives us two opportunities. One is to thank the faculty. The faculty is what makes this place. Many of the trainees will come and go. Some of them will join us as faculty. But the fact of the matter is that year after year, what sustains this organization and what keeps it moving forward, what defines that vision long term, is the faculty. And this is an opportunity for me to say thank you for what you do for this organization, and thank you for what you do for the trainees. The second thing is that it gives us an opportunity as faculty to thank the trainees. You are here because you want to develop skills to become a great doctor. What you may or may not know is that we are here because of you. Many of us have stayed in academia, or even if we're in private practice, come back to academia every once in a while because of you, because of the opportunities that you give us to get better, to enhance our skills, to keep our humanism, to teach others. And so this is a great opportunity for us to tell you how much you have enriched our organization. And we thank you for it. I also want to thank the staff, because this place doesn't run without the staff. And in fact, if you get rid of everybody but the staff, I think we may not change a lot. But if you do it the other way around, things may change. So thank you to the staff, because they really do a terrific job day in and day out. Without further ado, I've been asked to start so that we can get going. A couple of things that I want to mention. First of all, logistics, okay? We're going to be discussing and bringing people up here, and as soon as that person is up here and everybody applauds or whatever they do, we're going to move them to the side, so we're going to take pictures as we continue the process, because if not, we won't get out of here today, so that's important. I would ask all the speakers and all the presenters to keep it tight. We want to keep it going and keep it fun, but don't limit the things you have to say about the good people. So that's a good thing. So finally, I want to introduce my guest of the day, Barbara Casper, the head of our residency training program, the vice chair for education, and the person who really, together with the staff and others and her team of associate program directors, have put this day together, but really put every day for us together. So thank you, Barb. Appreciate it. So the first award is called the Austin Block Award. Whenever you see me looking at Barb, it's only looking for assurance. Okay? The Austin Block Award is given to the highest attendance to Grand Rounds. Now you may say, well, that's sort of a limited award. This is a tradition. This is one of the things that makes this organization. The people who come to attendance to this meeting almost every Thursday are part of the energy that sustains this tradition. We have to honor that. And it takes time. Trust me, I can't get you all of you here every Thursday. It takes energy, it takes effort, it takes commitment, it takes loyalty. So for that, we want to celebrate our resident who has the best attendance, Alice Johnson. It would be bad if Alex Johnson is not attending Grand Rounds today. Someone, just make it up. Come up here and flash your name as if you were her. Okay. She's working very hard in the wards. The faculty attending with best attending, and I'm going to revoke this if he's not here, is Dr. Neil Crittenden. Neil missed 1 Grand Rounds this year. Now, you hear everybody say, "Oh."
Congratulations.
Neil is a special gang because he's been with us for training, he's been with us as faculty, and now he's staying with us as a member of all our divisions. So thank you, and I hope that being in the division doesn't change your attendance. Okay?
Here you go. It's gonna fly.
Alex.
All right, one more time.
No, we're going to do this over there.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. No problem. Thank you. Okay. And now, Barbara Casper.
Thank you. This is always a lot of fun, and I have promised the division chiefs to try to keep us on task. So I would like to start with recognizing some of the academic achievements of our residents. We have the In-Training Exam Awards that actually were started in 1997, so this is a long tradition, by Mary Berry, who is one of our community physicians and has been associated with the program in the past. And she wanted to recognize our intern with the highest score on the in-training exam, as well as those people who improved their scores, trying to emphasize that we're always trying to do better. So I will announce the names if you all will come forward. The highest score for our PGY1 resident is Dr. Uda Chada. The highest score for our PGY2 is Dr. Nurman Bhatia. The highest score for our PGY3 is Dr. Tarshin Sethi. The most improved score for our PGY2 resident is Dr. Ishan Mehta. And the most improved score for our PGY3 resident is Dr. Blair Spence. Started a couple of years ago recognizing the division whose commitment to education has precipitated improvements and also excellence on our in-training exam score, in-training exams, as well as our ABIM performance. So the division with the highest score for our in-training exam this year was the Pulmonary Critical Care Division. Dr. Roman is here. So the division with the most improved score on the in-training exam was the Pulmonary Critical Care Division. The division with the highest score from our last year's graduates, and I have to remind everyone we had a 100% board passage rate, and not only did we all pass boards, they did it very well based on their scores, but the highest division was GI. And the most improved division was also GI. So I really appreciate all of the efforts that our faculty make in the subspecialties as well as our general medicine faculty to make sure our residents are successful. And as my residents, third-year residents know, I keep chastising them or reminding them that last year's class had 100% board passage. Our next awards are for the excellence in teaching, and this is an opportunity to recognize our division, fellow, and faculty who really exemplify teaching. This is chosen by the residents, so it's a very nice award, so I'm very happy to give these awards. For the faculty member selected by the internal medicine house staff for outstanding teacher, it is a repeat performance, Dr. Rodrigo Cavalazzi. For the fellow who the residents identified as the most outstanding teacher this year is one of our own former chief residents, Dr. Alan Griffin. And for the division, once again, is the Division of General Internal Medicine, and I did not stack this deck. A few years ago, we started giving awards to our residents who were identified as outstanding teachers, in particular for our PGY2s, because that's one of the new skills that they really emphasize as they go from being an intern. And the interns actually choose this award. As you might imagine, that makes the most sense. So I'm very happy that this year we actually had a tie between Dr. Ishan Mehta and Dr. Amanda Chisholm. If you would come forward. Ishan is going to be one of our future chief residents, so I'm very happy that he also received this award. We also want to emphasize the professionalism of what we do every day. And again, we asked our residents to vote among their peers for that resident who they felt was the most professional. This has been a very unusual year in that there was actually a three-way tie that we could not break. And so I'm very happy to give this award to 3 of our House staff members who were identified by their peers as being the most professional. These folks are Dr. Amanda Chisholm, Dr. Ishan Mehta, and Dr. Melissa McCarr. And then our last resident award is given to the most outstanding senior resident. Again, this is an award chosen by their peers, which I think has a special meaning because your peers know you very well. And so we are very, very pleased this year to present our most outstanding senior resident award. And I will say this person follows in some great footsteps of people that are in this audience. And this goes to one of our future chief residents, Dr. Michael Scott. Now I'm going to ask Dr. Ray Knight to come up and present the Community Resident Award.
Try not to take too much time. This has cash. It's underwritten by Clark Memorial Hospital. It was actually fairly easy this year. At the time that I was trying to decide who to give it, this cartoon showed up in the paper. You may have seen it. A fellow in a wheelchair says, "Can I see the doctor?" And the nurse says, "Well, when she finishes high school, goes to college, decides to go to medical school," and paraphrasing, gets accepted, chooses community practice, is committed to returning to Kentucky, and comes to poor rural county to be paid less and work harder. You want a magazine? This year, this was easy. This is a resident who's made a decision to do community medicine, not because she can't do anything else, but because that's what she's committed to. She's efficient, she's good, she's emotive. Dr. Shannon Kaufman.
Now I'd like to recognize our graduating residents. If you could come forward, we would like to get a picture of you. So I will announce your names. You will see that these folks are doing some amazing things as they leave our campus, and I know that they will really represent the University of Louisville very well. Ziad Al-Napki will be a cardiology fellow here at U of L. Anna Burke is going to be one of our future chief residents. Come on up if you're here. Ken Drain will be a sleep medicine fellow at Louisiana State University in Shreveport, Louisiana. Ryan Fields is going to be a hospitalist in our community. Rami Hosseini will be an infectious disease fellow in our own training program. Kirk Jenkins is going to the University of Kentucky for rheumatology and has assured me that he will not wear blue. Jamie Johani is going to be an infectious disease fellow at Baylor University. Alice Johnson will be in primary care here in our community. Tommy Johnston will be a hospitalist at Flagey Memorial Hospital. Adam Lennett will do a sleep medicine fellowship at Indiana University. Jason Mann will be a pulmonary critical care fellow in our own program. Greg Pfister is joining our faculty as in the DGIM. Swati Rao will be an endocrinology fellow at Case Western. Marley Sayer will be a gastroenterology fellow at Ochsner Clinic in Louisiana. Michael Scott will be one of our chief residents. Tarsheen Sethi is going to do a postdoc research fellowship at Stanford University. Hamza Shah will be a GI fellow in our own program. Blair Spence is staying in our community to be a hospitalist. Mona Lisa Taylor will be one of our chief residents. Ziad Tameh is going to be a cardiology fellow at the University of Minnesota. Dipali Takai is going to be a cardiology fellow at The Ohio State University, who now has a new president. And Ben Wheeler will be a GI fellow in our own program. And I think this is an outstanding group of graduates, and I hope you'll join me in recognizing their accomplishments.
Now it's on the very
You see, Greg, I'm so tall already. Thank you. I'd also like to recognize our preliminary interns. These are folks that have spent a year with us in preparation for their future careers. I want to say that this has been one of the most outstanding prelim groups we've had, and I would have loved for any of them to stay on in our categorical program. But let me just, if you'll come forward, we can recognize you. Eddie Appenbrink will be an ophthalmology resident here at U of L. Matt Birdkey will be a radiation oncology resident at U of L. Colin Carroll will do a radiology residency at Vanderbilt University. Enid Choi will be in radiation oncology at University of Maryland. Faraz Jalini will be a radiology resident at the University of Texas Southwestern. Mabdou Kayat will be a radiology resident at The Ohio State University. Shivani Reddy will be an ophthalmology resident here at U of L. Vishwanath Sagi will be a neurology resident here. John Schuler will be a radiation oncology resident at the Medical University of South Carolina. Charlie Weston will be a diagnostic radiology resident at University of Chicago. And Eric Wilkerson will begin his dermatology residency at Cleveland Metro Health in Cleveland, Ohio. So these folks have really worked incredibly hard this year, and I'm very proud of them and hope they'll remember us as they go to their new places. So let's give them a hand too. I'll invite Dr. Chris Sweeney to come up and announce his graduating MedPeds resident.
Thanks, Barb. We have 5 graduates this year. Hopefully some of them were able to make it this morning. We often are divided on the 2 sides. Our first graduate is Johnson Brito. Johnson is staying here at U of L, joining the Division of Infectious Disease as one of their fellows. Jarrett Gregory, our second graduate, is leaving Kentucky. He's going to Lakeland, Florida, working with the Watson Clinic. He will spend half of his time being a team physician for the Detroit Tigers, and the other half of his time as an urgent care physician there. Bill Kern, I know Bill was here, I saw him earlier. Bill is going to Northern Michigan to work as a combined medicine pediatric hospitalist up in Traverse City, Michigan. Tricia Lee is going to New York, Mount Sinai Medical Center in New York, entering an allergy and immunology fellowship there. And Van Tran is going to Paducah, Kentucky to practice primary general internal medicine. And that's our group.
Several years ago, Dr. Ann Shaw, who was the former division chief of general internal medicine, began some awards that recognizes teaching excellence among the Division of General Internal Medicine in both arenas. We have a heavy responsibility in the ambulatory and the inpatient arena. So it's my pleasure to present the awards this year for the excellence in teaching. The recipient of the Ambulatory Medicine Teaching Award is someone who has been noted by the residents to be constantly teaching, allows appropriate autonomy with supervision, and many of the residents indicated that they wanted to emulate her skills in teaching or in caring for patients as they go through their careers. And it is my pleasure to give this award this year to Dr. Nancy Kubiak. And as you know, we do have a very heavy inpatient responsibility in the division. And to recognize the person who is the exemplary teacher in inpatient medicine, I just wanted to read a few comments. He is an exemplary teacher, inspirational. He had a profound influence in the development on me as a physician. That was what one of the persons said. I think that's all that we can really hope for as educators, is to influence the next generation. He has extremely high standards and an outstanding knowledge base. And it's my absolute pleasure to present this award this year for the most outstanding teaching in an inpatient setting to Dr. Brian Moffitt. Lastly, Dr. Lori Earnshaw was unable to be here this morning and wanted me to recognize her graduating fellow in palliative medicine, Dr. Daniel Petrega. Dan has been an outstanding fellow. Many of you all have seen him around here. He's been a non-traditional student, and he is yet to determine where he'll be, but we're very appreciative of his presence here. And then I would be remiss if I did not recognize our chief residents this year, who have been absolutely outstanding. I can't remember when I've laughed as much, except maybe when Alan and Chris were chiefs. It was pretty funny too. I forgot about that. But anyway, they've been not only wonderful teachers, role models, and mentors for our residents, but have been a real gift to our program. And I'm really proud of their accomplishments and very happy to allow them to move to the next stage. I do want to comment where they're going and ask. Clay Smith is not able to be here. He's off in New Orleans celebrating his 30th birthday, which he'll probably kill me for telling you that. But at any rate, he is going to be joining our faculty as an associate program director. He's also going to have some significant time in the HCOC as a primary care physician and will be attending on board. So we're very happy he's staying on our campus. Dr. Sarah Landis, Sarah, if you want to come up, has been an outstanding president, and we're very, very fortunate that she's going to be staying on our campus as one of our GI fellows. And lastly, Dr. A.J. Vogel, who once again, is going to the University of Kentucky to do his cardiology fellowship, and we've had extensive discussions about not wearing blue. He wore the appropriate color this morning, and so, although I think this could be IU too, right? Yeah. But anyway, we're very proud of them, and I hope you all will give them a hand for all of the great work.
Barb, you need this one.
Oh. I look like a midget.
That's why I moved this side.
I knew there was a reason I wore high heels this morning. So we're going to invite our divisions to recognize their graduates and their outstanding teachers. I'd like to invite Dr. Roberto Boli to come forward and present some awards for his division.
Thank you, Barbara. I have 2 awards. One is the Research Fellow of the Year, which this year goes to Dr. Brandon Elmore. See, Brandon, he's here. Currently working in research in the lab. So Brandon is an outstanding fellow. He has worked ferociously for 2 years. He is one of the main reasons we have been able to carry out our trial of cardiac stem cells, the CPU trial. And he has chosen a 4-year fellowship with 2 years of research and 2 years of clinical training. So now he will go on to the boring part of the fellowship, the clinical training part. And has done absolutely a stellar job. The real reason I chose him was that 2 weeks ago I got my new innovation email that I get every month. So I go in, try to fill out, I thought this was the evaluation of the fellows. And I opened the page and I am asked to evaluate my attending, Dr. Brandon Elmore. So they asked me, is he available to answer your questions? And does he make time to teach you and go over papers? And does he guide you in your future plans? And so on. So after seeing that, I said, he must be the research fellow of the year. All right, the second award is the Faculty of the Year. Now, this year it was tough because we just have so many good faculty that our fellows could not make up their mind. So we had a tie, and we ended up with 2 awards. One awardee is Dr. Marcus Stoddard, who is a veteran to this Faculty of the Year award. And the other winner is Dr. Andy De Filippis. So both of them have distinguished themselves for exemplary dedication and commitment to teaching, for being great mentors, great physicians, great clinicians, and wonderful role models. And we really appreciate all your contributions. Thank you again.
I'd like to invite Dr. Glenn Hirsch, Dr. Sahel Ikram, and Dr. Greg Deem. Is Dr. Deem here this morning? To come forward, and they'll present the remainder of the cardiology awards.
Good morning. So we had our graduation last Tuesday night, and we had the Clinical Fellow of the Year award went to Dr. Martin Espinosa. Dr. Martinez, that would be great. We can take a photo. Very handsome gentleman. We also have 2 graduating general cardiology fellows. Dr. Khaled Shatila, who will be staying here for an advanced heart failure. We have a new advanced heart failure transplant fellowship, so he'll be the new fellow for that. And then Dr. Tuan Wen will be going to University of Connecticut for interventional cardiology. So if you guys could come up too, that would be great.
I'll go on with the interventional presentations. We had two outstanding fellows this year who graduated. Dr. Ali Usmani, who came from Cleveland Clinic and then did his fellowship here and then went on to do a international fellowship, and Dr. Shoaib Akbar, who came from University of Minnesota, then did his cardiology fellowship here, and they did an outstanding job. Dr. Usmani is going to Cincinnati, and Dr. Akbar has a visa fulfillment requirement, so he's going to Bowling Green, Kentucky. Ali? He's coming. They promised that they will turn in their tax returns to me next year, which I'll humbly present to Jesse and Roberto.
I'd like to invite Dr. Steve Winters to come forward to present his graduating endocrinology fellows.
Thank you, Barbara. We have two fellows who are completing our program this year, Dr. Swapna Darshivkar and Dr. Hope Taragosa. Both have become excellent clinicians and have both distinguished themselves by accomplishing very excellent research projects, which they are going to present at the Endocrine Society meeting in San Francisco in a few weeks. Dr. Taragosa will be going to Bremerton, Washington, where she'll be working at the Harrison Medical Center as an endocrinologist, and Dr. Darshivkar has decided to join a group practice of endocrinology here in Louisville, Kentucky.
I'd like to invite Dr. Richard Redinger to come forward to present the graduating fellows.
We have 4 fellows graduating, very consistent, all good, all publishing papers, and being recognized for being top fellows whenever we came together with the University of Kentucky and the American Society of, or Kentucky Society of Gastrointestinal Endoscopy, and I'll highlight them for you. All going into private practice. Dr. Christopher Kulisek is going to private practice in Knoxville, Tennessee. He was that top fellow that I mentioned. 2 publications. Dr. Vinay Patel, Northeast Digestive Health Center, Cabarrus Gastroenterology Associates in Concord, North Carolina. He has special interest in EUS, nutrition for enteral access, and was a solid fellow. Dr. Andrew Sidhu, going to Colorado Springs Health Partners, Colorado Springs, has had training in ERCP, so we'll be following that. Also published in the American Journal of Physiology. Last but not least was Aaron Pugh. Aaron was the pillar of the fellows, chief academic fellow, and he gets the award from his division for excellence in citizenship. So all of you, please come forward. Very good fellows.
I'd like to invite Dr. Julio Ramirez to come forward and present the graduating infectious disease fellows.
Thank you. This year we have 3 graduating fellows in infectious diseases, and since I noticed they are sitting there, very good. Then first we invite Dr. Alan Griffin, that is a veteran here at the University of Louisville. And Alan, we tried to convince Alan to stay at the university, but at the same time, I think that in the evaluations, there was a complete agreement that Alan needs more training. Then, following our advice, he's going to do a fellowship in microbiology at the University of Utah. And then we see if we can convince him to come from Utah back to Louisville. Then we have Dr. Medina. And Stella has been a very good fellow, and Stella was planning to go back to her native country of Puerto Rico, but then for some social issues Now she's going to be in Virginia. Very good social reasons. and Amjad, Dr. Ali, another excellent fellow that he's going to be practicing close by in Indiana. I would like to thank you, all of the fellows, for the excellent work. Thank you.
I'd like to invite Dr. Guts Klecker. Is someone here from oncology to represent? Okay. Are any of the fellows here from oncology? All right. Well, I guess we'll move on. I'd like to invite Dr. Eleanor Lederer to come forward and present the nephrology fellows.
Well, it's my great pleasure to introduce the three fellows who are finishing this year. Dr. Rodrigo Alfaro from El Salvador, who absolutely blew us away with his enthusiasm for everything. Clinical work, jumped into the lab, published papers, and generally was an excellent citizen. He will be going to Washington State to join a practice there. The next is Imran Sethi. Dr. Sethi joined us after having been a hospitalist for a number of years. He will be actually going to the University of Kentucky to do a critical care fellowship. And then finally, Dr. Mansoor Tawana, who actually served as our chief fellow, was an excellent chief fellow, kept the fellows in line. I never heard anything at all. And I'm proud to say that Dr. Tawana will be joining a private practice here in the city of Louisville. Thank you all for your support.
So I'd like to invite a representative from Pulmonary Critical Care. I'm not sure that Dr. Guardiola is here this morning. Rodrigo, are you going to present? Okay. Dr. Rodrigo Cavalazzi will present the awards for the Pulmonary Critical Care.
We have three graduating fellows. First, Dr. Sajjad Jamil. He was our chief fellow, and he's going to be joining a private practice in Florida. Then we have Dr. Murali Kondapanini. He is going to go to an interventional pulmonary fellowship at Ohio State University. And then we have Dr. Eskra Matura. She's going to be joining also a private practice in Oregon. We have three awards. The research award goes to Dr. Murali Kondapanini. He has been very active, producing both basic and clinical research. The Clinical Excellence Award goes to Dr. Eskra Matura. And the Teaching Award goes to Dr. Karim Elkesh. We also have a Teaching Faculty Award that goes to Dr. Galha.
We have a special presentation after this, but before we move to that, I would like to express my thanks to our staff, particularly Julia Klinkenbeard and Rita Matnich, who actually are instrumental that this whole thing went the way it did. So I'm very appreciative. And as you can imagine, we've had a little bit of upheaval in our office this year, and they have just been tremendous at keeping us together. So thank you very, very much. I want to recognize our associate program directors who are so, again, instrumental in keeping us together, and that is Dr. Jen Cook, Dr. Nancy Kubiak, and Dr. Mike Stillman. And then, as I mentioned, Dr. Clay Smith will be joining us next year as an associate program director, so hopefully we can move into the next accreditation system smoothly and help the fellows to do that too. So thank you. David Heaston, if you'll come forward and present your sleep fellow. I'm sorry I left that off.
The sleep program within pulmonary critical care had one fellow this year, Paras Patel, who I think is still returning from a meeting where he's presenting his data. He'll be going to LSU Shreveport to do pulmonary critical care. I'm not sure why he's doing that, but he'll be very successful.
I'd like to invite Dr. Craig McLean to come forward to present our special award.
It's a real pleasure to recognize Dr. Redinger for his over 30 years of service at the University of Louisville. It's actually outlined in your program. He's served as an outstanding clinician. He's been an administrator. He ran the Department of Medicine for a long period of time. He was an excellent investigator, and he's been a wonderful teacher. And actually, one of the reasons we're recognizing him today is he won the Fellows Teaching Award this year. And I think if you remember back to last week's Grand Rounds, you heard about the importance of medical education, not only for what we're doing in practice now, but what you're going to have to be doing in the future. And Dr. Redinger's career really epitomizes that. So when he was in his fellowship, there were no flexible endoscopes. There were only rigid endoscopes, which is a scary thought. The only thing that we had to treat ulcer disease and reflux disease was Maalox. So H2 blockers, which you guys probably don't use anymore, weren't available, and nobody had even thought of PPIs. So Dr. Redinger really epitomizes lifelong learning, and I think that's one of his greatest attributes. And we'd like to thank him today for his service and especially for his fellow teaching this year. Thank you.
First of all, it's bittersweet. Retiring. I don't know what I'll do with myself, but I'll figure it out. That was really what happened over the last 51 years, was figuring it out. I can remember being in the lab with baboons. They taught me a lot. I can remember people who mentored me, Don Small, being incredible, and wishing to do the same for others. I came here in 1981, the longest time, all those. I was at Tufts, University of Western Ontario, Boston University, Ann Arbor, but this has been the best place. This is the place where I could grow, expand my efforts, influence others. I think with the exception of 2 division chiefs, we were able to recruit in almost 20 years. All the rest, several of them several times over. And you see some of them here in the audience. I remember Julio Ramirez is almost out of his residency when I bestowed the big chief status upon it, and he has been exceptional. Roberto Poli was exceptional before he came here, but he's maintained that position and even higher. Steve Winters, just to name a few. Actually, I recruited Craig McLean twice. One from the University of Kentucky, the other one from the Ohio State. He knew then that he should come back. So, I see many of you in the audience wish to thank. If it wasn't for you, it wouldn't be as fulfilled as it was, and particularly the house staff. I've always had them from the beginning of time. They keep you young. I'm 75. I don't tell anybody, and they think I'm 55. But at the same time, if it isn't for you, just like our chairman said, the world wouldn't be what it is. You are the hope for the future. I tell people now in internal medicine, in GI, you're going to be handing out the gene kits in your lifetime. I can remember when the Watson Crick Laureate Award was given back in 1962, the year I graduated. We are teaching grade 3 students in good schools about what they found. And that's going to be the way the world's going to go in the next century. We won't recognize ourselves, but we'll know the molecular biology within us, which is the answer to it all right now. And I see Ken Dryden, hope for the future right there. Marsano, hope for the future right now. And I'm looking for others, and there are others on the letter. Very impressionable people. Thank you all very much for everything you've done for me. I appreciate it very much.
I wanted to mention one other person who keeps the educational path on its way, and we obviously have a major dedication to our student teaching as well. And so I wanted to thank Dr. Kristen Milam, who has been our clerkship director for the past year, and anticipate that moving forward, and thank her for all of her hard work. As you can imagine, herding 140 or 50 students around can be a challenge, but she's done a superb job, so thank you, Kristen. I believe that concludes our awards ceremony day, and I really appreciate everybody's attendance, and thank you for all of your hard work this year. Do you want to say?
Yes. So please don't leave yet. You know I can't let you go without saying a few words. This year we worked really hard to keep this activity within 60 minutes, and we have accomplished that thanks to the gang. I hope it didn't seem too rushed. We recognize the time commitments that everybody has, and patience come first. Give us some feedback about how this went this year and how do we do it better. This is for you. This is not for the people on the stage. This is for you. But since I have a few minutes left, I want to talk to you about 3 things. Photographs, repeat offenders, and sadness. Very quickly. Photographs, many people don't want these photographs, and it just takes time. Just this weekend, I was looking at a photograph with my co-residents when I was a resident some time ago. And I can tell you, it is terrific to spend some time over a beer thinking about what is it that got you into medicine, and what did you intend to do when you started, how that has changed, how that has made true. Over time, you will take these photographs and look at them and really think very differently, and probably will ground you the way it has done for me. Repeat offenders. Many of the people were up here. You saw them several times. Amanda, Meta, Dr. Rodrigo Cavallasi. These are people that for some reason win an award over and over again. There is something special about these people. I've told Rodrigo I need to sit with him when he's rounding in the ICU to find out what that is. There is much we can learn from each other. Take advantage of these people. There is something special in this room that we can emulate, that we can learn from, so that we can continue to get better. The third one is about sadness, and my pulmonary group heard this last night, so I don't want to bore you to death, but just a couple of things. I just went to the graduation of my nephew at university, some other university up north, and the typical thing happened. We never saw him because there's like 40,000 people in the stadium. We couldn't see him at nighttime because he's with his buddies. But the family got together to celebrate, and it was a really wonderful, joyful occasion. He accomplished something. There's a sense of growth and evolution of the family through this person, and that's what we're experiencing today. But we also experienced something different, and it happened 48 hours after we came back. My wife and I are sitting around, and we're thinking, this is not the kid anymore. Our kids who are now graduated are no longer have the same vacation time as we do. Things are different, and there's a readjustment, and there's a sadness about seeing you guys move on to the next stage. We're extremely proud of you. We're extremely happy. That doesn't take away the fact that we would like to keep you here. So come back. Thank you.
I think it's congratulations.